After Full House ended, Jodie Sweetin nearly lost everything, and she wasn't the only Tanner sister developing an unhealthy habit. In fact, pretty much the entire cast of this classic sitcom has endured their dark moments. Bob Saget will forever be best known for playing America's dad, Danny Tanner, on Full House. In case you're not already a super fan of the show, Danny was a widowed dad raising 3 daughters with the help of his brother-in-law Jesse and his best friend Joey. Outside of Full House, Saget was best known for his stand-up comedy, which he'd been doing since the age of 17. His dirty stand-up persona was pretty much the polar opposite of straight-laced Danny Tanner, but Saget leaned into this dichotomy so much so that a lot of his later material included jokes at the expense of his Full House days.
You have a dirty mind, you know? Well, you do. He does. I'm telling you the truth.
I think everybody does, kind of, except...
Oh, not like you.
Not like you, Bob.
On January 9th, 2022, Saget died unexpectedly at the age of 65 while on tour in Orlando, Florida. The cause of death was head trauma, which his family revealed a month later. They also released a statement that read, "The authorities have concluded that he accidentally hit the back of his head on something, thought nothing of it, and went to sleep. No drugs or alcohol were involved." Bob Saget's passing was sadly not the first tragedy to strike his family. His older sister Gay died back in 1994 at the age of 47 from scleroderma, a disease that hardens the skin. Coincidentally, Bob died on the date that would have been his sister's 75th birthday. Gay had only been diagnosed 3 years earlier, but her symptoms came on quickly. She needed a lot of help, as did her family, so Bob made it one of his life's missions to raise awareness of the disease and help find a cure, which sadly has still not been found. In 1996, Bob channeled his grief into art, directing the made-for-TV film For Hope in memory of Gay's life. As he noted in 2021 during the film's 25th anniversary, "It was a very emotional and fulfilling project, a moment in my life that I will always treasure."
Humor is the only way my family survived.
Shortly after Full House ended, Candace Cameron Bure, who played oldest Tanner sister DJ, developed bulimia nervosa. She also got married around this time to Russian-American ice hockey player Valerie Bure, but this period of her life was also extremely difficult to navigate. As she admitted to Good Housekeeping in 2017, "I really kind of lost a sense of who I was because I put so much value in myself as not only a friend and a daughter, but as an actress, having worked for so many years, and I couldn't quite find my place. I got into a cycle of binge eating and feeling such guilt and shame for that. Then I would start purging, and without even knowing, it soon just took over."
I need help, and it felt so good to admit it.
Bure has been open about her experience and recovery, but it's also something she's been dealing with ever since. As she told Yahoo in 2021, "When you struggle with something like that, it never goes away, but you have the tools in place to know how to handle it when those temptations or urges arise so that you don't go back to old patterns." Furthermore, she also does her best to help others as an eating disorder recovery advocate, as she also noted, "One thing we've done a great job with is encouraging body confidence, body positivity, and that all shapes and sizes are beautiful. The message across the board from the media and magazines is very different than it was, in the 80s and 90s. Mary-Kate Olsen shared the role of youngest Tanner sister Michelle with her twin sister Ashley. After the show ended, the Olsen twins' acting careers just got busier and busier, and by the mid-2000s, they'd appeared in more than a dozen films and TV shows. But it was also around this time that Mary-Kate developed the eating disorder anorexia. As reported by People magazine, she went to a rehab facility for treatment in 2004 after a family intervention. As a family insider put it, "They finally reached the point where they had to act. They didn't want to find her dead on the floor from not eating." 4 years later, Mary-Kate publicly spoke about her eating disorder for the first time. Though she didn't confirm whether it was officially true or not true, she had this to say to Elle magazine. "Everybody is going to go through hard times. It's a part of life. I think the hardest part to get to is that point of asking for help or reaching out to other people and being honest with yourself." Jodie Sweetin, who played middle Tanner's sister Stephanie, has been outspoken about her experiences with alcohol and substance addiction. She was on the show from the age of 5 until she was a teenager, and then when she was 14, she started drinking. As she recalled to Us Weekly in 2009, "That first drink gave me the self-confidence I had been searching for my whole life, but that set the pattern of the kind of drinking that I would do."
I just hated the person that I'd become.
Shortly afterwards, Sweetin started using hard drugs, including ecstasy, cocaine, and methamphetamine. She eventually went to rehab and got sober in December 2008. But before then, her drug use seriously affected her personal relationships. In 2002, she married police officer Sean Holguin, though they then divorced in 2006, and Sweetin has admitted that her addiction was a problem for them. In 2007, Sweetin married her second husband, Cody Herpin, and they had a daughter the following year. But she then hit rock bottom a few months later after driving drunk with her infant child in the car. She and Herpin were already separated at the time, and they divorced after the incident. In 2010, she welcomed another daughter with her boyfriend Morty Coyle. They married in 2012 but split months later in 2013, at which time Sweetin relapsed. She eventually committed to staying sober and trained as a drug and alcohol counselor. From 2015 to 2017, she dated and was engaged to fellow recovering addict Justin Hodak. Alas, their relationship ended on a sour note as he violated a restraining order against her. Perhaps the most terrifying moment of Jodie Sweetin's path to sobriety happened when she was drunk with her baby daughter Zoe. As the actress recalled to Us Weekly, "I had 2 glasses of wine and drove with her in the car. I not only put myself in danger, but also my daughter, who I loved more than anything. I felt terrible." For several months after the incident, Sweetin's then-husband, Cody Herpin, was seeking sole custody of Zoe. As Sweetin explained to Us Weekly, "I got a call that there was an emergency custody investigation because of my drinking. From that day forward, I threw myself into going to AA and avoided people who do blow off their coffee tables." Ultimately, Sweetin and Herpin were awarded shared custody of Zoe. It's Sweetin's hope that her daughters can learn something from her experiences. As she told The Fix in 2019, "At the end of the day, I can be an example of a sober woman for them, whether they have to go through their own struggles or not." In 1994, John Stamos started dating fellow actor Rebecca Romijn. They were together for a decade until they unexpectedly announced that they were splitting up in 2004. The news was particularly shocking as they'd continued making public appearances together even after they'd already separated. For example, they went to the X2 X-Men United premiere together in 2003, despite having split up about 6 months earlier. Despite the outside appearances, Stamos and Romain's relationship wasn't as rosy as they let on. Subsequent interviews have revealed plenty of hidden drama, including Romain allegedly forcing Stamos to turn down a role on the FX show Nip Tuck. As Stamos told Details in 2015, "Ryan Murphy wrote Nip Tuck for me, but the person with whom I was in a relationship at the time read the script and said, 'That's demeaning toward women.'" In 2009, Stamos admitted that his divorce made him feel like a failure, as he told People magazine. "We were together for 10 years. It was heartbreaking. In my book at this point, I would still be married and have 3 kids." After Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen stopped acting, they focused on their fashion careers instead. By the early 2010s, they'd launched 2 luxury brands, The Row and Elizabeth & James. This was under the umbrella of Dual Star, their billion-dollar entertainment and fashion production company. However, while they were selling alligator backpacks for $39,000, their company was allegedly not paying its interns a cent for up to 50 hours of labor each week. So in 2015, a group of design interns from The Row, led by Shahista Lalani, filed a class action lawsuit against Dual Star. As Lalani explained to Page 6, "You're like an employee, except you're not getting paid. They're kind of mean to you. Other interns have cried. I'd see a lot of kids crying while doing coffee runs, photocopying stuff." According to court papers obtained by Page 6, the suit claimed that the interns should have been paid minimum wage as well as overtime, as they didn't earn other compensation such as college credit for the hours they worked. This lack of payment was happening despite their colleagues being paid for doing the same type of jobs. Dual Star dubbed the lawsuit meritless, although it was later settled out of court for $140,000, which was split between 185 interns. Lori Loughlin is probably still today best known for playing Aunt Becky on Full House. She joined the series in 1988 as Danny Tanner's TV co-host and Uncle Jesse's love interest and eventually wife. She reunited with her co-stars for the Netflix spin-off series Fuller House in 2015, but she had to be written out of the show before its final season because of her involvement in the 2019 college admissions bribery scandal, whose investigation was known as Operation Varsity Blues. Loughlin and her husband, Massimo Giannulli, went to prison in 2020 after pleading guilty for paying $500,000 to secure their daughter's places at the University of Southern California. As Loughlin admitted at the time, "I made an awful decision. I went along with a plan to give my daughters an unfair advantage in the college admissions process, and in doing so, I ignored my intuition and allowed myself to be swayed from my moral compass."
I don't want to do anything that one day might rear its ugly head.
Loughlin received a 2-month sentence while Giannulli served 5 months. She's since returned to the small screen on the drama series When Hope Calls, a spin-off of When the Heart Calls, the show she was starring on prior to her arrest. Loughlin's on-screen husband, John Stamos, has had his own run-in with the law. Back in 2015, he was arrested by the Beverly Hills Police Department for driving under the influence, as he was pulled over by the police after reports that he'd been driving erratically. After the arrest, he was taken straight to the hospital to receive medical attention. A Beverly Hills PD public information officer later confirmed that he was indeed driving under the influence after an investigation at the hospital. Stamos ultimately avoided jail time, but he was ordered to undergo a 3-month stay in rehab. And this wasn't the first time that alcohol had gotten him into trouble. Back in 2007, he appeared intoxicated while promoting the medical drama ER on the Australian talk show Mornings with Carrie Ann. He later apologized for being plastered and blamed his behavior on jet lag. If you or anyone you know is struggling with addiction issues, help is available. Visit the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration website or contact SAMHSA's national helpline at 1-800-662-HELP 4357.